Hello and welcome to the weekly Chris Chan update. My name is Gibby, and this is a special post-dimensional merge episode. But before we get into that, we need to look at the smaller stories that Chris has led himself into this past week. Now, in case you were unaware, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie has been announced, and there is a poster posted online about it, and there was also a poster leaked online about it that we were not supposed to see, showing a rather disturbing image of Sonic the Hedgehog, and Chris is not too happy about this. He recently tweeted, "I was not going to talk about this, but fine, Sonic the Hedgehog movie 2019. I don't believe that he was not going to talk about it. He obviously was always going to talk about this, and I have been waiting for him to finally comment on it, so here we go. I have heard the numerous things about it over the months. Jim Carrey should not be Robotnik, period. And even without the obvious bad vibes and caring I get from this live-action thing, I have seen my fair share of live-action from animated flicks, and they usually don't work. Even the crew of the 2019 movie admit they purposefully want to mess this up." So, this is, I think, a reasonable response from anyone who's a fan of Sonic. Jim Carrey being cast as Robotnik is weird. The animation does not look good. Live-action adaptations of cartoons like The Smurfs have not gone over well in recent years. But here's where Chris puts his personal twist on this message. He continues, "And yes, the two elephants in the room, on this great misinterpretation of Sonic himself. The wrong shoes and the blue arms. Squinty, distressed, frowny face." Of course, if you don't know, there was quite the incident a number of years ago when Sonic Boom was first revealed, where Chris got very upset about the color of Sonic's new arms. He received a redesign for the Sonic Boom game, and Chris went into a GameStop. He had a piece of artwork that he had drawn of Sonic with the correct coloring and proportions and all that, and he wanted to slip it into the game cases that they had on display, because this was not the correct depiction of Sonic, and the GameStop employees did not like him doing this, and this ended with Chris Chan pepper spraying the GameStop employee. So yes, the Sonic's arms has been an issue in Chris's past. So this is where it obviously gets totally off the walls. He says, "Sonic himself and I are seriously not amused. He even stated himself that he is beyond ashamed and embarrassed of this movie, and all of the lack of appreciation of the original source materials, as we all respect for him in this abolition..." What? I'm assuming he meant abomination. Abolishment. This abolishment of a flick. Okay. So, I am already having to decipher the sentence where Chris is claiming that he has spoken directly to Sonic the Hedgehog and that Sonic the Hedgehog is upset about this movie, and he has a typo like that in there. Okay. He continues, "If these movie people really want to sell me and everyone in general, get Sonic's shoes and arms color right," he spells color the British way with a U in it, "get Mike Pollock to play Robotnik," I have no idea who that is, "and honor the past source materials in the story of this, quote, movie. Also, Sonic's overall appearance as portrayed, I can only forgive if they get his arms and shoes right." He's so obsessed with this arms thing. He then posted two pictures from previous, it looks like Sonic fan films, so it's like Sonic rendered in a very high definition, like you can see all the hairs on Sonic's head. Sonic's head. And they look kind of good, but, definitely not actually Hollywood studio movie quality. The real Sonic movie, from what we've seen of these leaked images, look a little bit like Detective Pikachu in that it's half cute and half terrifying. So I think that they actually struck a pretty good balance in their poster, in terms of, it doesn't look fully like the game, but it also doesn't look totally ridiculous. So, Chris continues, "But seriously, as it stands, I am giving 2019 movie a total miss. Not even as a joke to watch it at all. And I am not going to do anything like I ended up doing with the Sonic Boom games in 2014, and I do not encourage anyone doing the mistakes I made back then. God, Chris's grammar is terrible. So the reason I keep making that sound is because he's saying ST. Oh, I'm retard. I should say that word. Sorry. I am really dumb. He's abbreviating Sonic the Hedgehog as STH. I thought he was having a stroke. So I'm sorry. I should totally be reading that differently. I'm giving Sonic the Hedgehog 2019 movie a total miss. Wow. He's abbreviating the weirdest things. Chris's grammar. If someone were when someone writes the movie on Chris Chan, where they try to dramatize his life and tell all of the most important arcs in his story, it will take a real master to get someone who understands the grammar and the cadence to Chris's speech, because he is very strange, but not in a he doesn't have a pattern to the way he talks. So someone would have to figure that out. Whoever was a Liquid Chris back in the day was pretty good at it. Anyway, he continues. I shall, however, stand for and with Sonic himself in boycotting and distantly protesting this 2019 quote-unquote movie. And while people have done this already with the original poster, my son is not a fan of the 2019 movie either, and respectfully wishes everyone to not link him and or Rosie to this movie at all, please. So he doesn't want you to make mock-up posters of Sonichu the movie using the Sonic movie, because he doesn't want his son, Sonichu, who he thinks really exists, to be linked to this awful movie. He finishes, we all stand with Sonic and his friends and family against the 2019 movie, unless the crew actually shapes up and works harder to make it a full love letter and honorable type of movie for all of us. Lightning bolt, heart, lightning bolt. And then he just posts another picture of the fan movie of Sonic. So, Chris really does not like the Sonic movie, and this is something that he has talked about. He's freaked out about Sonic changing before when Sonic Boom happened. And, yeah, so that was his first Twitter rant, and he actually has a second Twitter rant that he did a couple days later coming up. But before we all get to that, something else happened. And this is going to kind of merge. Well, actually, I shouldn't use the word merge because the dimensional merge is something. I should say that this sort of blends the story from last time about Chris getting his life together with the story from this time of the dimensional merge. And that is that Chris has this strange moment of self-awareness. And he does something that I think is rather admirable. So, he sent out this tweet, and I'm going to read this, and I'm not going to get choked up, but I might have a hard time reading this because it's actually awe-inspiring, what he says here. He says, okay, quick question. Why is it when I try to help someone by relaying their request for help, they get attacked for harassment? Targeted assaults and harassments are simply not cool, everyone. Please, do not attack or harass anyone whose tweets I retweet. I am your target. That's, like, really noble of him to say. Like, hey, if I like someone, don't attack them. If you don't like me, attack me. Like, that takes some serious understanding of his situation, and I didn't think that he really knew that. So, he continues, and yet I realize from the repeated history from over a year ago, y'all bad trolls harassed Doopy, Tabitha, and No Whacking. I don't know who any of those people are. But he says, I am sick and tired of y'all harassing others in attempts to force them to block me over you. It's bogus and seriously not cool. Fortunately, I believe in the common sense and individual wisdoms of those who I like and talk about at times, and despite y'all's freaking fetish of hatred, most everyone else I talk about have not blocked me, but actually blocked or reported all of you, the trolls. A lesson those few who still have not yet unblocked me can appreciate from learning, including lightning. I don't know what any of that means. Because blocking the actual harassing trolls is the right thing to do, instead of the innocent one, myself, who was only sharing good tidings and kindness with everyone. So, Chris will just retweet people. Like, some people are like, oh, I started a GoFundMe for my art project, and Chris is a fan of theirs, and he'll retweet them. And then people who hate Chris Chan will go into that person's mentions and start harassing that person, and that's actually not okay. And Chris calling them out is good. And Chris saying, "I am your target," is like, again, very noble of him to do. But then he starts on this stuff that I'm about to read, and he totally loses me. He says, "And since my marriage to Magichan Sonichu, Crystal Rolls-Chu, Savannah Rose-Chu, and Mewtwo, I have been off the dating scene because I do not need to be chasing after anyone. So all you haters can stop spreading lies to everyone that I would be chasing or wanting to date them, because I have no interest in doing that kind of thing. Okay? So keep your harassment targeted to me and no one else. Do not address anyone I try to help or share kindness with, because I shall not stand for others getting harassed at my expense. Lightning bolt, heart, lightning bolt." And then he has this picture. And I want to talk about this picture. So first of all, he went on this crazy tangent about, oh, well, since I'm now married to Rose-Chu and Mewtwo, I'm obviously not just retweeting Tara Strong because I'm attracted to her. So, yeah, stop just telling her that and stop telling her to block me. And so he posts this picture of, quote-unquote, himself. And it says, hashtag harass CWC directly, Christian Weston Chandler, directly. And it's a rather well-drawn picture of himself. But I have the picture up on screen, and you can see he has a heart in the middle of his forehead with a third eye. And obviously a third eye is it's associated with being psychic or being able to see other dimensions, which he thinks he can do. And he drew himself with the Sonichu medallion and his striped shirt. He gave himself breasts. He gave himself big lips. Gave himself his 2 different colored eyes, blue hair for some reason. But I'm just astounded at this, hashtag harass Christian directly. He's like throwing himself out there for all the hate to converge on. And that's cool. Like I really don't have another word besides noble, which I've used like 3 times now to describe that. And I would feel really positive about Christian between the treadmill and this and taking a shower. I'm like, that's awesome that he's doing this. Except he continues to then make a fool out of himself immediately with his next couple of tweets. So his next tweet is about the United States pulling our military out of Syria. And so this is actually how I personally found out that the war in Syria was over, because I follow Christian and he tweeted about it. So, I guess that period in our nation's history will forever, for me, be linked to Christian, because that's how I found out about it. So Christian retweeted an article from ABC about U.S. troops leaving Syria as President Trump declares victory over ISIS. But Chris celebrates this in his own Christian-y way by saying, "Yay! Victory over some of the cyberbullies and terrorists." The one thing this dimension's Donald Trump did right during his time as not president. U.S. troops to leave Syria as President Trump declares victory over ISIS. So, first of all, he calls Trump not POTUS, because, the hashtag not my president, all that stuff. Chris really hates Trump. But the fact that he calls ISIS cyberbullies, and he puts cyberbullies on the same line as terrorists. Like, hooray, we defeated the cyberbullies and the terrorists, as if these two things are even remotely comparable, and as if all ISIS are cyberbullies. Because obviously Chris, he gets harassed all the time, and he's totally delusional, and so to him, cyberbullies and those evil trolls are, just the worst people in the world, because they have actually been doing horrible stuff to him for 20 years. But for him to not see what the difference between the cyberbullies who harass him and actual ISIS terrorists is incredible. It's his usual level of delusion, and coming right after these couple of tweets, these couple of days where he seems to be cognizant of his actual position in the world, for him to then just fall back on this, delusion is crazy. And then he follows that with what might be my favorite tweet of all time, which is, "But I am still very much voting for Lisa Simpson for president in 2020. And I have a picture of that on screen right now, so that you can see it and believe it yourself. Because if the dimensional merge is going to happen a couple days ago, so that means that Lisa Simpson's real, and will be meeting Chris, and she'll obviously be eligible to run for president in 2020, certainly because she is 8 years old. And Lisa Simpson's going to beat Donald Trump, and she has Chris Chan's vote. Oh my god. Oh, I needed that. People in my last video were seriously concerned. One guy was like, I always thought it would be sad the day that Chris Chan got his act together because there'd be no more lols. But, I'm actually happy for him. But, nope, it just looks like he has his act together. He is still totally insane. So then, as I said before, he has another thread about the Sonic movie. So this is only like 2 days after his last one, and he just goes off about it again. He says, feel free to retweet and relay my tweet thread to Sega and the crew of the quote-unquote movie, if y'all please to do so. Thank you. So remember last week when he was like demanding that Funko Pops lower the price of their cereal so he can afford it? That's what he's doing about this Sonic movie now. He's telling them what they should do. He says, and again, at Sonic Movie, I am purposefully giving your movie a total miss, unless you actually shape it right. I am very influential. Look me up. He actually says that. I am very influential. Look me up. Because everyone in the Sonic community is just gonna skip out on this movie because Chris Chan gave it a total miss. I remember when back when I think there's the Clyde Cash saga. Basically, Chris stopped making Sonichu comics, and so this guy made up this fake story that his younger brother was gonna commit suicide unless Chris made a new issue of Sonichu, and then Chris didn't. And so he goes to Chris and it's like, hey, my brother killed himself because he was a fan of yours, and you didn't make any more Sonichu, and now I'm pissed at you, and my parents are pissed at you, and I hate you, and you're the worst. And Chris made a YouTube video apologizing to this family, like to this, non-existent grieving family whose son had committed suicide. And in the video, Chris is like, wow, I feel like I have a lot of power because he had the power to have this kid take his own life because he didn't make the Sonichu comics. And that's sort of what I feel like right now. Like, Chris is saying, oh, I am very influential in the Sonic community. Look me up. Anyway, so here's the second to last story for the week. And it's going to be a little hard to look at. If you're new to Chris Chan, or if you just are a casual observer, this one's a little disturbing. So there's this trend going around Twitter right now where people will post a picture of their Fursona, and then post a picture of themselves to show the difference between what they look like in their furry costume and what they look like without their furry costume. So there's this black image with white text that you see on screen right now, and it says, your Fursona. And then the next picture is of Sonichu. Or it's Chris Chan Sonichu. Sonichu lore is confusing, okay? Chris Chan Sonichu is different than Sonichu is different than Magic Chan Sonichu, all that stuff. So here we see, this is Chris's Fursona. It's Sonichu. It has the different colored eyes because Chris has different colored eyes. And now you can see that he has breasts. I am assuming that in the original Sonic-Chan issues, when Chris would turn into a Sonichu forms, it would be a male Sonichu, but once he transitioned, he is now a female. And then it says UIRL, and then it's a picture of just real Chris in real life, with his multiple chins and his Sonichu medallion, and it looks like he's wearing a Wonder Woman, helmet thing, and his disturbingly unwashed frizzy hair. Surprisingly, not wearing a striped shirt. But just look at these two images next to each other. Both of them are so incredibly disturbing and cringy for different reasons. And I just want to move on. I don't like this. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I don't like Chris Chan. So I'm gonna continue. So this is the big story. This is the dimensional merge story, because you see, the dimensional merge was supposed to be on the 18th, and you're watching this on the 23rd, and I don't see any fictional characters around here. So what's the deal, Chris? Well, he decided finally, days after the event was supposed to happen, to go on Twitter and tell everyone what was going on. So he says, "Hey everyone, I realize the impatience that has been growing in regards to the dimension merge of our 1218 and C197, as well as doubt and discouraging words fueled by misunderstandings and possibly hatred. Firstly, I am not reading any of the commentary against the merge, because, beyond your own respective understandings, I know better, because I have experienced as much of everything as possible that has been leading up to it. Second, I am feeling as antsy as y'all are. I still am able to see everyone and everything in C197, including my loves, with my true sight. So that means that the name of his ability to contact the other dimension is called True Sight, and it has a name. And that's a little too comic booky for me. That's a little too superhero anime for me. Which means that Chris is totally delusional. Like, not only does he think he's a goddess, but he's just naming himself. He thinks he's a superhero. I don't need to tell you that Christian's crazy. That's why you're here. He's making me go a little crazy. He continues, I am actually able to touch and feel them referring to his various wives and husbands from the other dimension. As I also feel them when they touch me, and I hear them loud and clear, and I am also able to make eye contact with them. But, still with true sight, I want as much to be able to see them, and for everyone else of this 1218's Earth to be able to see them too. But patience is indeed the factor here, and the merge is going to apex and happen any moment now. I know it is all happening, because I have had hundreds to millions of visions and premonitions throughout my whole lifetime, and I have experienced more and more and more deja vu moments, as I actually, in my waking moments, experience and feel the moments exactly as I have foreseen them before in my dreams and visions. How many deja vu moments do most of y'all experience? Once in a blue moon frequency? Once in a while? On recent average, I am clocking in and at least 1 or 2 per day. So, Chris is saying that the merge is happening because his deja vu is increasing, and he is dreaming about things and then experiencing them in real life. And that means that the dimensional merge is happening and his psychic powers are real. And again, other people have theorized that due to Chris's mental health and poor diet, that he is actually experiencing some form of brain damage, some form of mental illness that is causing this to happen, which is very upsetting and very sad. But Chris's complete lack of self-awareness prevents him from seeing this. Now, here's the problem with that. I would love to just say, Chris is insane. But he says something in this tweet that I find very interesting and, if true, very disturbing. He says, lately, my psychic links, not only to this Earth, but to Quickville and Kama in C197 and to 1218's Earth. I've had 2+ moments of that kind of link while I've been talking to my appointed psychiatrist at Region 10 during the hour. Even she was flabbergasted, and she has her degree in psychology from a good school. So what he's saying is that on 2 occasions, or at least twice, during a meeting with an appointed psychiatrist, which I assume means that he's being forced by law to see a psychiatrist, who he claims has gone to a good school. I don't know what Region 10 means, but during 2 of his appointments with his psychiatrist, he has had these flashes to the other side. He has had these visions, these psychic links, where he's been able to contact Quickville. And he says that she's been flabbergasted and impressed. And that's... I don't know how to interpret that. Like, if I was a psychiatrist and I was talking to an almost 40-year-old autistic man, and he was telling me that he had visions of this alternate reality, and then I'm like, oh, okay, Chris, describe those to me. And then he'd talk about them, and then he'd say, wait, I'm getting one now. I can talk to Sonichu, I can reach out and touch him and stuff. If I was that psychiatrist, I would observe him and be interested in him and, take notes and stuff and talk about him and maybe talk him through him, ask him what he's seeing and stuff like that. But I would not pretend to go along with the delusion. I'm fairly certain that that goes against some sort of ethics code in the psychiatry community. Like, if your patient thinks he's Jesus, you're not supposed to go along with it. You're supposed to coax him out of it. And Chris seems to be under the impression that his psychiatrist believes him. And that is fueling his delusion because he's talking about it on Twitter. He's saying, hey, people following me on Twitter, if you don't believe me, even my psychiatrist does. And that's really not good. He continues, I have felt constant electricity and lightning throughout my whole body. And that's really bad, because that could be a sign of, like, his body shutting down. Like, if his liver is failing, he could be having, jolts throughout his body. Ugh, that's not good. Like, his pancreas, like, if he's processing sugar wrong, like, oh god, that could not be good. There's no way that him feeling bolts of electricity in his body is a good thing. He's feeling lightning and electricity in his whole body, as well as his hands and fingertips. And in his head. And even more voltage in the 2 nights that threw me through a real loop. And all I could do was wait it out. He's saying that he was kept up 2 nights by these electric shocks. He's having seizures. He must be having, real epileptic, seizures. And I'm fairly certain that those are linked to bad diets and stuff. Like having too many carbs and sugars and stuff. Like, God, this is not good. Oh. Thousands to millions of real voltage surging. He doesn't know what a volt is. Surging through my body and to my head. Lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt emoji. I am essentially a central conduit of all of this. Why does he keep stealing language from my book? God frickin' darn it. Sorry. This has nothing to do with any of this. Along with each of the other deities. So I definitely know what the blank I have been talking about and telling all of you these months. I encourage everyone to keep the faith, pray to the CPUs, and y'all may pray to me as well. No thanks, Chris. I will not be doing that. Because the dimensional merge is evident and will apex and happen any moment now. Remain patient and have no doubts. Lightning, heart, lightning. So that was the craziest thing I've ever read. That was totally insane. Not just that Chris is delusional and thinks all this stuff is real, but that this new story we have with his psychiatrist going along with it, or at the very least Chris interprets that he or she is going along with it, which then reinforces his own belief, and he was kept up at night by these electric shocks running through his body and his head. God, he's having actual seizures, and he's believing all this bad stuff. We are seeing the symptoms of someone who is legitimately sick, and personally, I would like to help him. If I could press a button and get Chris Chan on a diet, or get Chris Chan to see actual real help, I would certainly press that button. I do not want to see him get hurt, but I know that I can't do it. People have been trying to help Chris for 10 years, and you can't. And I just hope that he doesn't actually, honestly, if he's having seizures this frequently, he could die. Any one of these seizures could just kill him, and that is not good. He needs to be medicated, and he needs to change his diet, and someone needs to take over his life, because he can't do it on his own, and his mother is probably can't barely take care of herself, and certainly can't take care of him. So I don't know. This week it was a lot of up and down. It was a lot of laughing at Chris. It was a lot of being scared for Chris because of bad things that are happening to him. But I'm going to make another video. I'm actually going to make 2 more videos about Chris this week. One of them is going to be the next episode in my series called The Absurds. And this is going to be a series of people who are either like Chris or put on performances like Chris. So just interesting people to watch who do absurd and crazy things as Chris does. I already have 2 episodes out. One is sort of a pilot episode that I made months ago that's about this really odd website where they chronicle the religion of superheroes, and it's just crazy, and you should go watch it. It's actually my favorite video that I've ever made. And the first real episode, that's called episode 0. The first real episode is about this guy named Spurrit, who only has 20 followers on Twitter, but he just tweets out some weird stuff. He's active on a couple websites. He used to have a YouTube channel where he would ad-lib and improv stuff, but all those videos he got taken down. So I'm going to make a video on Chris, and it's going to be part of the Absurd series, and that's going to go up Christmas Day. And I'm also going to make another video about Chris, where I go into a theory about one thing that could possibly be happening to him. Because as he was describing how he can see, touch, and feel Sonichu and his wives and husbands and Mewtwo and etc. from this other world, I was reminded of something called tulpas. And if you know what that is, you're probably nodding your head right now. And if you have no idea what that is, stay tuned because I'm going to upload a video about them. So, stay tuned for more videos that I'm going to have on this channel, some about Chris Chan, some about other topics. I will be back next week with my next update. If there's a huge update about the dimensional merge between now and then, I'll probably get that out sooner. But for now, this has been the weekly video. It's actually been the longest weekly video. And I'm going to have a tough time editing this, but thank you all for watching. Thank you all for getting me past 300 subscribers. That's really cool. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at GIBI_Devon, which is spelled DEVON, and I usually retweet or will tweet about this Chris Chan stuff before I get to make a video about it, so you can talk about it there with me before videos go up. Thanks for watching.